Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Balco and Monty, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming podcast.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Trident Wargaming. We have another Heresy episode here for you. Today I am joined with my co-host Andy.
Hey guys, what's up?
And we are joined again with Arthur from Charging from Deepstrike Studios.
Thanks for having me back, Bill. Literally always a pleasure.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. We have little hobby updates. I guess we'll go through quick just to see what everyone was, up to the last little while, and then we'll jump into some sweet Heresy goodness. Andy, do you want to start off first? What did you have going on the last little while?
Actually, pretty much pushing through a new army for bolt action, but also at the same time trying to continuously work on the Thousand Suns as well. So was able to pretty much get the base color sprayed on the Marines that have been sitting on my desk for a while. So I got the red all done up, so I'll start putting details on them. And then also working on some of the elite choices, the Kenite Occult Cabal. Just kind of found out that I'm missing 2 swords, so I kind of can't complete them, but we'll get there. Other than that, just little odds and ends here and there. Really, that's about it. Just trying to clear off the desk. Always the projects, stacking up. So,
what's next after bolt action? Like, is there any items that you are really excited for that you have a hard deadline moving forward? Like, are you doing anything for the LVO?
No, myself, no. No, I'm not doing anything for LVO. I'm sending out the horsemen to go and conquer and divide when they're there. So I'll be at home base doing my thing and keeping everything tidied up. So other than that, it's just tried a whole bunch of other games. I got some MCP under my belt. That was a pretty cool game. And then just kind of, like I said, odds and ends here and there. I know I talked with Bill, prepping for next year and stuff, and just looking at different options as well. Different communities, checking out what's going on. So,
one of the things I respect about you, Andy, and anyone who does this, is people who can play so many different games and be involved in so many different communities.
It's because I don't have kids.
I mean, I don't have kids either, and I've started about to play more than one game at a reasonable level. So hats off to you, I guess.
No, thanks. How about yourself, Arthur? What do you got going on for hobby-wise?
Well, I decided to start a new 40k army. And I know this is a heresy podcast, but we're going to talk about the greater good for a second.
Oh my.
Last podcast, we were talking about a model that really speaks to you, something that makes you want to get into something. And I was talking about the fucking Ghost Keel. It gets me.
Yes.
So, we're talking about hobby stuff. I played in like 3 tournaments in the last month. More than I really wanted to. And in one of those tournaments, I won a Ghost Keel as a prize. And that started me buying an entire Tau army. So I've been really hard at way assembling all that.
Nice.
If you've never had the pleasure of building a Tau army, they're still modular. One of the things I like about 30K is, a lot of the kits you can kind of build them how you want, right? The newer 40K kits are they're almost monopose, and while the modeling is quite dynamic, it lacks that customization options of the olden days. I mean, you guys remember the Space Marines that used to be able to build whatever way you want, right?
Yep.
The Tau are, to some extent, especially the Crisis suits, still like that. So you can kind of build them any way you want. And I'm surprised I'm putting them together, and I'm like, this is hard. How do I want them posed? I need to get a test model dummy out here. So I've been working really hard to get them together. I'm super excited to get them on the tabletop. and just have an entirely different army.
Yeah, I didn't think you would play Tau.
I mean, I wanted something that has just a unique playstyle, and I think Tau offers that.
Nice.
It was a surprise to all of us. He had cat ears on and just said, "Guys, I'm playing Tau now." We were surprised.
It's kind of like coming out, you know.
It is. It's a very slick looking army though too. All the suits and all the remakes of a lot of the newer models that they have done in the past. I don't know, 5 years or so, and then the additions that they've made. Right. So,
man, if you like Gundam, if you like BattleTech, if you like any of battle
heavy gear.
Stuff, yeah, that's the aesthetic. So I've got it planned out where I'm gonna try to again up my paint game. I'm gonna work on I'm gonna do like hairspray chipping for the first time, but I mean not actually using hairspray. I'll buy a real product. Nothing wrong with hairspray though. And we're gonna go for like a space look, right? Some suits that have seen some shit.
Okay. Do you have colors in mind? Like, do you have?
So it's going to be a little bit of like brown rusting, and some grime streaking in there. I got some Vallejo stuff, but I'm doing some scale 75 blue, like very blue, and I'm hoping that the blue and the orangey brown will contrast against each other.
Interesting. Very nice. Be interesting to see. I'm sure you'll have it all posted and stuff.
You betcha.
Right.
It's a non-traditional color for Tau. I didn't want to do any of the traditional colors, and I wanted a color that just pops, that's striking, that when you see it on the tabletop, you're like, wow, those are nice. Don't look at the paint, it'll be garbage, but like, look at the color, it'll be pretty.
You paint pretty good. You don't think you have to worry about that.
I paint good enough to get another second place. You know how many second places I've gotten this year?
Some harsh judges out there.
First place in our hearts, though.
Oh my God. That's the one that counts.
That's right.
People's champion.
It's the cat ears, right?
We're gonna have to make a trophy of cat ears for Arthur.
Oh God. Oh my.
Bill, what's been on your table, man? What are you working on? Tell me it's Dark Eldar. I know it's a heresy podcast. But...
No Dark Eldar, not yet. It's been a lot of stuff. I'm working on Huskarls again. I need to get those ready for my LVO list. It's been back and forth between pretty much heresy stuff, obviously coordinating, running the doubles event, some slow grow stuff in there. And then I did order some Tortuga Bay MK2 bodies. I'm going to be doing a Templar Sword Brethren.
That.
Oh yeah, secrets. Dropping a Templar Brethren squad and that Bayard's Revenge Black Templar model that dropped for 40k. I'm actually going to be converting them, shaving down the legs a little bit, and taking off the backpack, adding probably Fafnir Rand's backpack or one of the character types anyways, and making a custom Sigismund out of it. Just because he looks cool, but he looks a little bit small for me, and I like the bulk of this Primaris character. I think he looks really cool. He'll match well with the true skill look of those Tortuga Bay models.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. That's just going to be kind of like a little mini showpiece in the list. Just something different, right? Add a little bit of flavor. So that's been my big thing mainly. Recently also punched out a table for bolt action. There was an event on the weekend there we had, so it was a lot of fun. Got the kids involved, doing some hobby time with Dad, which was a lot of fun. They had a blast doing it, so that's half the battle right there. And anytime you can get your little people involved with your hobby is good quality time, so works out. It's a win-win. So win-win.
Win-win.
Sure, man. For sure.
So, like, LVO is in, it's what, February?
End of January.
End of January?
Yeah, January 26th.
Right, close enough to Valentine's Day that, you might as well get something down there when you're in Vegas from one of those gift shops.
You could. You could.
So you have, probably not even 40 days and 40 nights here
Mm-hmm.
to be 100% ready for LVO. Are you ready?
I'm not 100% ready. I did get a lot of my army painted quickly. Most of it's at kind of like a tabletop standard. But now is the time where I'm going to be taking it from tabletop to that, that next level of detailing, cleaning up a lot of the armor, adding all the fine scratches, detail, stuff like that. So I've got a little bit of work cut out for me, obviously. I figure an hour a day, I think we'll probably be in a good spot. The hard part's done, is getting it all to that level. After that, it's pretty easy, and I'm going to be playing in the day 1-2 narrative and the day 3 competitive, where my goal is to be able to play the whole list in both events, if not pretty damn close. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, hey, my Fury of the Ancients list is both my narrative and my competitive.
Oh my. Look at you go. Look at you go. I do suspect to see some there, I'll be honest.
Oh, for sure.
In the narrative part, though, like...
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Yeah, it's... I don't know, man. We've had this conversation before many, many times of just having different... People have different ideas of what's fun or narrative for them, right? So,
and that's... I think that's the biggest thing, is narrative is so subjective that you can always find some way to spin it in with headcanon and wrap it up. Like, I always think, Iron Hands for a cool narrative dread list, or if you're, got the old Warhound, Dreadnoughts on the Conqueror, like part of the stories that you hear in Heresy, right? Those kind of moments really scream Heresy to me. If you can, support with a little bit of fluff, it's even better. But realistically, it's pretty much subjective. So I think anybody going who doesn't have tools to deal with some of the nasty, like Dreads, Terminators, all sorts of that shit, in any style of play, I think you're naive and you're probably setting yourself up for a potential feels bad, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
That might sound a little biased, considering, I won't lie, my army is made to be anti-meta. That's the best way to explain it, because my army excels in dealing with dreadnoughts and vehicles. But I made it that way because I knew dreads were going to be a thing. They're going to be very prevalent in armies. And obviously, being as good as they are for the return on your points, and also looking downright cool, I wanted to have something where, I'll play against anything with my list. I really will. And most of the time, I think I'll have a good game doing it, and my opponent will have fun too. So,
you know what? That's the kind of event. I like that mentality right there.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Yeah, so that's kind of my big thing there.
I mean, regardless of the event, you're always going to have that in it, where players are building their lists and whatnot, and it's just nature of the beast. That's what they want to play, be it narrative or not. It also depends on the players too. If you'll hear a lot of time, and I'm sure you hear it in 40K a lot as well, is oh, I'm not a tournament player. I don't like tournaments. This and that. Blah 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 blah. Right? It's too competitive. Well, I mean, there's always going to be a small little portion of that competitiveness, no matter what kind of game you're playing. Period.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you have one player against another, and there's a desire to win in some fashion.
Yeah. Exactly.
You have that.
Exactly. Right. So it's just, everybody's different. I mean, we play a lot of guys that we play. They can play some really good, strong games. Right. Have a really good game. It's really close. A lot of things happen in the game. And then you have other games where you're playing with other people in the community, and you know for a fact that they're not at that state, or they're not at that mentality for playing games. So, no, you're not going to just go in there and crush face. You're going to tone it back a little bit, hopefully, and just have a good time with it, right? It might just be a beers and pretzels kind of throwaway game where you just have fun, still play it, still try things out, but you don't need to completely wipe the guy out on the first turn and, that's that, right?
That depends. If I'm playing Bill, I'm going to try to wipe him out on the first turn every single time.
Yeah,
Well-
the fucking guy's gonna clock me too.
Yeah. but that's the thing, is you guys have that gaming relationship of, you guys are pitted against each other. Play that way, right? You want to play
He ran his mouth after he beat me with 1 wound Chaos Space Marines. He deserves it.
There was a lot of anti-chaos memes. I'm just I did that not just for me. I did that for Luke Cash, for a lot of chaos players out there. Just saying.
Oh, you're the hero, are you?
Chaos's ultimate champion.
Not a hero,
Settle
a man.
down, Horus.
Just a man.
Settle down, Horus.
Yeah.
This is where I put an overlay of Horus's armor on Bill right now.
Fuck.
Just
Yeah,
look at that.
I never wanted to unleash my legions. Okay.
Yeah.
You made me.
Yeah.
So, just to echo the point Andy was kind of making there, like, we'll start talking about some slow grow. I think that's kind of the main thing with slow grow. So we've been running a league locally here. We've gone through now 4 months out of our 8-month total progressional little series we've been doing. Whereas basically we've been lining up 2 games a month. First was at 750. We just finished our phase 2 at 1500, where the main goal is to get everything painted, hashtag fully painted, for when we're actually starting to roll into more events in the new year and then a big campaign. And obviously painted just plays better in my mind anyways. So it's been kind of the thing where we have all walks of Heresy gaming experience that come out and play. We've got guys that have 4 or 5 games under their belts, and then we've got guys who've been playing for the last decade. So like there's a big mix. Obviously with 2.0, it's kind of changed a lot of stuff just because everything's sort of been redressed in the balance when the new system dropped. It's the same game, but it's not, right? There's like small, subtle little tweaks that have changed a lot of the stuff and the way these units work. So it's cool watching everybody kind of go through their Cold War era. Essentially, everyone's playing, building. You see, Dreadnoughts coming out, 10-man last cannon squads coming out. Well, Volkite squad's better. I don't know. You start seeing all these different combos coming out. It's great. I love seeing that.
Oscar's coming out. Sniper's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scorpius is coming out.
And that's the next thing, right? You're going to start seeing, well, I need indirect firing support to be able to deal with those Fulminateris Terminators, to be able to deal with las cannon teams or whatever the case may be. So it's cool to watch that happen. But yeah, when we're playing, we don't have set pairings or anything. And I really encourage guys to call out games on the public page we have. Basically, like, if you want to play a little bit harder, throw it out there. Someone will have the inclination to, help you whet that appetite. Just because we have players all over the place that are geared towards that or not. But for other players like myself and a few others, I recommend guys bringing 2 different lists, just because you don't know who you're going to play. And if you are going to play one of the newer guys, you might want to play something a little more toned down, and not to try and, make it a less fun game. It'll still be fun. It's just, I don't need to bring super crazy stuff. I just want to have fun rolling dice, get that person more used to their army, play it out. And the best part about the game is when you can talk about all the tactical choices you were making together, because I think that's the biggest way to improve, is playing the game and then talking about it, having a debrief. It's especially fun if you can do it over beer and wings after, but even just a quick verbal 20-minute chat after the game at the store is always good too.
That's the equivalent of a cuddle and a smoke, right?
Yeah.
Shit, yeah, it is.
It's especially with a lot of guys coming either back into the game or starting into the game. There's a lot of crossover guys from 40k coming into 30k and kind of having to revisit some old rules that they haven't played in a long time. And then you had other players that they never were around in the community, right? So now they are, and you don't want to go in and smash face and then scare all these new players away and they don't have a fun time, right? So it's not to say that you're going to, you're losing your game on purpose or whatever, but it's more of like Bill said, just have a good game. Just have a good time, right? It's I think it's a very important aspect of community building. And I've seen it in multiple communities where it's that kind of mentality definitely works and grows, some more quicker than others, but then there are some communities that you don't see it. You don't see that kind of support for the player base by the guys who are leading the community, and it's like, why am I even here? Why am I even trying to jump into this, right? Because like, I'm in a gazillion different games, right? A gazillion different, communities, and you can tell which ones are really active and which ones are really supportive of growing the communities. And there's a lot of experienced people out there, right? So definitely take that time to I guess know your player base in a sense, right?
Know your
role.
Well, know your player base, but grow your player base. Like, honestly, I feel like a farmer, and I'm trying to grow a community. I'm trying to make it flourish. I'm trying to do things to keep people involved and, create something that people actually want to be a part of. Much like yourself, Arthur, with the EWL, right? The 40K League. You have to keep coming out with stuff. You have to keep moving. You have to keep progressing to keep, the interest peaked and keep guys going and doing their thing. And every system needs one of those kind of those frontmen, right? We've talked about it a lot. Be and emulate the player that you wish was around where you were starting out. Like, you'll attract the kind of players you want by leading by example, right? So showing up, being a great opponent, having awesome painted armies, also playing well, right? If you can kind of be a triple threat where you're matching all these things, not to mention being like really sociable, it's going to go a long way. You're going to really start to attract good people.
It's like being a teacher.
Yeah, essentially.
As Arthur,
Yeah.
You don't want to be the teacher that you hated.
No, you're passing off. You're passing that knowledge and whatnot to your pupils, which are a player base, right? Especially if you got new player base, right? Like,
yeah, that's true though. Is everybody remembers their favorite teacher, and everyone remembers their least favorite teacher for different reasons, right?
Oh, so. I definitely remember the second one.
So it's just, it's a big thing with any community. I've noticed it a lot with Heresy. Like, we went from I want to say between a 7 to 12, solid player base, to now like our slow grow leagues rocking out at 26 players. And not everyone's come out at the same time, obviously, but that was the whole point of the slow grow league, was to have, hey, we're doing it on Sunday at this store, and the traveling circus in 2 weeks, hey, we're doing it Saturday here, Sunday there, Thursday at this club. Like, really trying to bounce around to give all the different players a chance to come out on different nights of the week, because not everyone can do weekends. During the week is really cool too, and it's really been cool for the stores because they get to see a different crop of people coming in. It's good for the players because some people have never been to different stores. You kind of break them out of their shell a little bit. So it's a great way to not only grow your community, but show support to your local game stores. And
without stores, we don't have community.
Well, that's true. It's true, right?
So you gotta support those local stores. I agree with that.
Then we're just playing dice in the alley for money, and it'd probably be cheaper than our tabletop hobbies, but it's a lot more fun on the tabletop, being immersed with all the terrain and armies. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
talking about slow grow here. How many points you going up to? Where are we at?
So we're bumping up to 2250 now.
Now
it's gonna be good.
So 1500 people started bringing out some Terminators, I'm sure. Maybe a second Dread, maybe some vehicle support. What are you expecting to see at that 2250 point?
2250 is a unique spot. I did do like kind of a disclaimer post on our next like slow grow saying, hey guys, you're going to be starting to see heavier units, more tanks, probably more dreads. This is also the point where you can start including Primarchs, and there will be some Primarchs at this level. I'm almost guaranteeing it. People should be aware.
You think you'll see a Leman Russ? You think you'll see not a Horus Ascended?
Not a Horus Ascended. At 2250, I know you can't do normal Horus. He's 600, so you're still a little bit out for that. But yeah, I think anything that'll fit in that 2250 mark, you'll pretty much see.
Oh, like the shitty Primarchs, like Lorgar.
Hey, he is pretty good. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. And he's definitely under 562 points. So, what we've noticed is obviously not every Primarch is created equal. Ferrus Manus
Everyone has
is
different skills,
a big
right?
boss, but any Primarch out there that has a brutal 2 or up weapon, I think is really going to shine in the game. And Primarchs feel like they're in a good place. You can easily walk a Primarch up to a 10, 20 man tactical marine squad and just literally blender through them. And you can, with the way that the rules are, you can precision strike, punch that Sergeant, Vexilla, Apothecary right in the face. They're all dead. You're like, oh, wow. And it's like, hey, what are you guys going to do? Oh, yeah, you're going to run because you're just Marines. And that's pretty much how it feels when you're fighting them. I know playing against Jimbo there in his Leman Russ, it was a 3K game, mind you, but Russ just walked through a full Terminator squad like it was nothing. The only thing that even kept me in the combat as long as it did was my Vigil Pattern Storm Shields. He blew right through that squad. It was amazing to see and terrifying at the same time.
Andy, what are you expecting to see out of this 2250?
Probably more Spartans. For
so
sure.
One Spartan per person. No one's playing 2 at that point level.
No, but I think you are going to see some Spartans and maybe the old style build of maybe a Death Star.
Right.
Guys will,
big Terminator squad.
with characters. Yeah, that stuff. You'll probably see. Well, we have seen some Charybdis action already.
Yeah.
But you might come across other named characters as well, which you could have already taken, but this might be.
But now people might have the points to get more value out of that, and for sure they're not sacrificing something else to get Abby in the list or Eidolon or whatever.
And you might also see some different rites of war happening as well, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say rites are probably going to be a thing now.
Start popping off.
So those these Legion specific ones.
Yeah.
Legion specific ones, and then of course you still do have the generic ones. So I mean, you never know. You might see a what is it? Armored Spearhead, I think it is, with all the tanks, right? Just full tank army out there. You could see that now. But yeah, just the rites of war. Like I was even thinking of the rite of war for my 1,000 Sons, where it's the Crimson Guard of the Crimson King, right? And it's literally you're working with a lot of Terminators, a lot of Sekhmet Terminator stuff like that. It gets really expensive and things start deep striking. You get a whole bunch of benefits just being able to give 6 infantry units deep strike just like that, right? But at the same time, like Bill had mentioned, not Praetors, but Primarchs for sure. And then I don't know, probably if you're really kind of still going heavy with Marines, you'll probably see double the amount of heavy weapon teams, right? The heavy support squads and stuff like that. You might even see just regular support squads, because they can get pretty pricey too. A lot of rhinos coming out there. Just overall, probably a good mix of everything. And then some armies could be specialized, like if I did my White Scars up, it'd be just a mass amount of bikes on the board, right? Stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But the legions that we kind of have in our community playing right now, there's actually multiple of the same legions, like the Ultramarines and the Imperial Fists, which have got.
Now, is that because those legions are competitively good, or are they because those legions are communitarily popular, or
a bit of both, I would say. We went from
because they're good.
Maybe. I it's hard to say, right? Because you can read the rules when Heresy first came out, and people were like, "Oh yeah, these are pretty good." Blah blah blah. I want to play these guys. Simple fact, yeah, they are good. They got really good rules. Whereas previous edition, it was like nobody played Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
Now you got like 4 people playing them, or if not more, right? Ultramarines. I was the only Ultramarine player back then. I haven't even touched them except for our very first like intro game to 2.0. But I haven't touched them since. Why? Because my interest is in my Thousand Suns right now, right? So, but a lot of their players are playing them, and I can see with their armies, my army probably is going to have to drastically change model-wise, miniature-wise, to really work well with their current rules now. So,
You meta chasing, boy?
no, just adding to the forces, right?
You are speaking to the current doubles champion.
I am.
Alright, Bill, you gotta
I
show
should
some
show
respect, okay?
some respect. You damn
Yeah.
right.
Are you meta chasing Sir?
Yes, sir.
Are you meta chasing
There you
my
go.
lord?
Oh,
There you go. Mhm.
It's hardcore.
But no, overall,
Are you meta chasing Doubles Daddy?
double
Doubles
daddy.
daddy.
Wow, that's the new title for the award.
That's what you need.
Doubles Daddy.
Yeah, the doubles daddy.
The Doubles Daddy Award.
Silk screened on a like a greasy stained wife beater. each winner gets one.
But
Disgusting. Disgusting.
that might be
My
good for
goodness.
like the Wooden Spoon award. Get some kind of shirt. Just
Oh my.
have a Marine holding a wooden spoon like a bolter kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I think majority, I think, of the players have picked their legions more of for the rule of cool, right? So
I applaud that. Good for everyone who did that. That's definitely the way to play the game for sure. But
Yeah.
one of the things that disappoints me ongoingly is with how popular Warhammer got over COVID and how some of these places like Goonhammer came to be, and Tabletop Tactics and all the other ones, who they'll do a Codex review, and this is no different from Heresy.
Yep.
And they say, oh, I mean, in 40k, and a Codex comes out that has 6 subfactions. They'll tell you which subfaction is the best, and now every single player is a that subfaction player. And I do find that a bit disappointing. I'd like to see an army that's painted red play the red subfaction, and people just be like, hey man, I thought this one was cool, so I painted my minis like that.
yeah,
So I applaud the Heresy community for doing that, and you definitely saw that out at that doubles event you guys just had. There wasn't a lot of repeats as far, and the repeats weren't necessarily because those armies were powerful. Right, there was just a couple guys that really like painting Sons of Horus.
Yep.
Or
oh yeah, no, for sure. It's been a passion for a lot of those guys too, right? So
really nice to see that.
it's really like all of us, a passion of the hobby itself and the armies. And I mean, Bill was a huge, or is a huge Iron Warriors fan, but then he turned the leaf and decided to go with the Imperial Fists because there's a lot of players playing Iron Warriors, right? And he always had an interest in the Fists as well. So
Yeah.
he was like, I'm doing it, right? I don't care if there's 3 other players playing it. I'm doing it because it's cool. I really like him. Apparently loves to really paint yellow. And,
That
just...
contrast.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
Yellow is easy.
But it's, it was that passion project for him too, right? He had an idea set in motion and went with it and pretty much broke all barriers of, the meta. Like you said, he doesn't meta chase. He breaks the meta in a sense, right? It's like, not even touching last can teams. Like, nope, that's out of there. But did his army up and he's had a fun time playing it. And that's pretty much like the main goal of every player is just to have that passion project, get your stuff done, have a super fun time playing that army, and just win or lose, you're having fun with it, right? And it's good to see. So, even myself with 1,000 Suns, it's one of those projects because there's so much conversion that I'm doing in the army, and I might not win as much, but it's still learning the army too. So it's an ongoing passion for playing, learning, completing, and then just having a good time.
Seeing as we're talking about the Double Daddy himself here, can we talk about the doubles event?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had a Heresy Doubles Event. It was 3 rounds, and essentially it was 20 players. I ended up doing random blind pairings. The reason for this was essentially to try and mitigate any power couples. So, you get a couple guys teaming up that are really just going to maximize each other's forces, and they just complement each other very well and create this really over-the-top combination of legions that may not be the best to play against. So, because, again, there's a lot of new faces that came out for this event.
Some people flew in.
Out of town.
Some guys flew in. Some came from Calgary. It was awesome to see how many actually, came out for it. But the big thing I noticed is there was probably a good quarter of the players that were like really, really new. Like I'm talking 5 games or less kind of thing. And there was one guy who's like, yeah, he's never played. It was his first time playing in the actual event, and he was teamed up with Jonah, who is a very skilled general who was able to kind of run him through the game, run him through his army, and just kind of help him along, which was really good. It actually worked out really cool for some of the pairings where majority of the new guys were actually paired with veterans, which did happen randomly, which was really nice to see. Which made it a lot of fun. It also was good, as a kind of icebreaker for the community. Is you get randomly paired with these people, and you have to jump in and make a new friend pretty much for the day and play and kind of discuss what your armies are about and see how it goes. I played in it as a ringer. We unfortunately had some early morning drops, which it happens. So Hal and I ended up actually teaming up together as double Imperial Fists, as Hal was kind of, he's still learning his army and enjoying that as well. And I'm a little more seasoned with my fists. So it was a really good partner up because we were able to kind of, talk a little bit, talk tactics of, here's what we could do with our units. And Arthur even got to play in there playing, hashtag Best Legion. Was able to rock out some Iron Warriors. And he was playing with James.
For those of you that don't know, Bill had a couple drops, and I had to fill in some shoes. And I played about 1 game of Heresy, so it was a bit of a trial by fire. But for those of you who are kind of on the fence about thinking, can I play more than one system? Can I play Heresy? The answer is yes, because the basic core gameplay is not much different. You want to hold points and make your enemy not hold points.
Pretty much. Yep.
And everything else is kill stuff, right? So it's very possible. You definitely should do it. I was very successful, largely thanks to James, but core gameplay is the same.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Mission 1 was kind of pretty much Dominion, right from the rulebook, which has a kind of progressive scoring mechanic to it. You're scoring at the beginning of your turn. Mission 2, 3 ended up doing custom ones, to kind of shake it up a little bit and explore some of the progressive scoring again. Mission 2 was actually you get to score at the end of your player turn, which was kind of cool because you could push your opponent off the objectives and still score in your turn, so you weren't kind of getting run away. And it was nice because it was basically hold 1, get 3 points. Hold 1, get 1 point, hold 2, get 3 points, hold 3, get 5 points, and then there was a little bit of first blood there, so if you got a kill on the first turn, you got extra VP. If it was an HQ or an elite, you got extra VP, just to shake it up a little bit. That's kind of the biggest thing.
One of the things I like most about the missions is, because 40k doesn't do this anymore, is placing your own objective markers. There is so much strategy in deciding that particular thing that we don't really get anymore. It's kind of a lost skill. But when you get to place objective marker, you get to dictate the flow of the battle. Where do I want my opponent to be? Where do I want to be?
Yeah.
Especially in those 3 objective games. when you get to actually place 2 and your opponent gets to place the 1, you can definitely start to set things up quite nice. And it all depends obviously on playlists, your list and play styles and stuff. It's a lot of fun to be able to do it. The event was really successful. Everyone seemed to have a really good time. Definitely a blast.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
A lot of fun. It was great playing too, because like even Ben, my partner, was fairly new as well. He only had, I think this was maybe his second game when I first started with him, and really good chemistry right there, right off the bat. He was playing Iron Warriors, so I kind of knew a bit of his army too, right? Just from playing it against it so much. But yeah, just it was nice you felt comfortable, playing the games, got to learn. Like my first game was against Dustin and
Dustin Scott.
Scott, yeah, thank you. Again, another new player. He's playing Salamanders, which you do not see in the community, by the way. And
is that because they're competitively bad, or just player preference?
No, just preference. There was only really one other player that had played them and hasn't played in a while. And then Dustin came. He was actually Alex's good friend, and really wanted to get into the game and stuff, and kind of met up with him at one of the stores and just chatted with him a lot about it. And then he just jumped right in and bought a box set, and within a week he already had like a unit painted and blowing our minds away, right?
Yeah. Fucking wizard painting those salamanders, man.
Flames and everything, right?
Yeah, did a great job.
But it was good to see them and playing and learning and little things kind of being explained, so you got the idea of things, and then there's things too when you're playing a new player. Like there's some things you kind of let slide a little bit, right? Because it's like you're learning. To me, it's like win or lose doesn't matter. You're learning, you're having fun. I'm having a fun time. Everybody's having a fun time. That's what it's about. It's good. Boom, done. Right. So seeing that, and then the second game again. My second game was Jonah and his partner there, and again another new player, right? And then yourself and James, there, Arthur, which we just completely devastated. But I mean,
what? I should have clocked that game. Should have clocked it.
Honestly, if that game went any longer, I think my side would have been in trouble.
I think so too.
But
you know what? It came down to dice because you guys were up ahead by a lot, and then your Terminators just would not pass the Terminator save.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like they got slaughtered, and then on the other side there was a couple of FUBARs on the rolls for charges and whatnot. Like James Dreadnought, and it was just like, oh goodness. Stuff like that, right? And like throughout the whole, they're awesome games. They're fun games. There's a lot of key moments. I mean, I probably blew up so many Space Wizard brains throughout the whole day. I stopped counting, but it was fun, right? Like, I think it was first game, second game, my first psychic test of the match. I rolled perils and blew up heads, and I had to run over to like James because it's an ongoing joke with us. And tell him, I just perils. And you'd hear him just holler in the background kind of thing, right? So, but that's what it's about, right?
Is there any way for you to mitigate the effects of perils as a Thousand Suns player?
And verbal saves and maybe feel no pains. But that's...
There's no like special army detachment or anything else you can do?
Well, you can, I think it's the robots, the Castellex. I think if you take the Rite of War, I think you're able to actually allocate, even though they're not in the unit, I think you can allocate the wounds to them.
Okay.
Right? The psychic robots. Other than that, like your Dreadnought will have Adamantium Will. So, but for regular units, I've been finding that 10-man squads I could probably wipe out with my own powers if I did really bad. So. But yeah, that's a story for another day.
It's like having an army of puppets, man.
Yeah.
From back in the day. Awesome.
Yeah, my puppet, my goblin that always blew his head up in Warhammer Fantasy. So.
Oh my god.
With with the doubles, I guess some things that I did learn is 1,500 points is probably too much for doubles. The reason I say that is just because most games didn't get past turn 3. Very seldom did you finish and start into turn 4. So if I was going to run it again, I'd probably cap it between 1,000 and 1,250 for points. We were doing 2.5 hour rounds, which was not enough time. But at a certain point, like, how long are you going to have the rounds, right? Like, you're not going to have 3.5, 4 hour fucking rounds. Like, that's just getting crazy. So obviously we
all have only so much time, right?
That's just it, right? So I think tuning down the armies a bit, even dropping it to 1,000 points each would be
maybe
probably pretty good, considering doubles. Obviously, when you have more people, the armies were combined. And how I pretty much did it was there was a Grand Warlord. You had to roll off on turn 1, or game 1. And whoever's army won the roll off, your Warlord got his trait, and so did your partners. He got his trait as well, but you got the additional reaction in whatever phase your Warlord trait gave it to. Yep. So you both shared a pool of reactions, and there's times like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna evade, and the one guy's like, hey man, like I kind of need this reaction for like on my side because he's gonna I'm gonna get trounced over here. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know. And there was like a couple times Hal and I were even talking. I was like, I'm gonna steal the reaction because I need it on this. He's like, oh, but are you sure? I need it on my squad. I'm gonna get charged. And I was like, okay, you do it then, because his charge was going to be more important. Like, there was going to be more focused on that particular fight. So it did have a layer of tactics to it as well. But I just felt either the points were too high, which they were, because we just didn't have enough time to get through all the games. Overall, a lot of the mechanics that way worked well. It didn't feel like the reactions were super overpowering, and it did make you make those tough choices. So that was kind of an interesting little spin on it. We ended up having best single model paint job, which Chris Sharon ended up walking away with that beautiful Abaddon. If you were keeping up to date on our socials, you would have seen pictures of it. The guy is just a fucking wizard with the Sons of Horus paint jobs and the Abaddon's cloak, and just, it was insane. It's just a great looking model.
It's a machine.
The single nicest part about any of Chris's army is his decals. And I know that decals are not like a WoW thing. Any guy can put a decal on a miniature. But when you look at his decals, there is zero film. Like, a lot of people put decals on, and maybe they use the microsol and the microset, and maybe they even put a matte varnish on it. But when you turn it to the right light, you can still see, there's that reflection. I turned his vehicles around 17 times. I could not get it. And I asked him, what's your secret? And he had this vinegar thing and something else. This whole shebang, this process he went into it. So you know what? If you were someone that's struggling with decals, you should get in contact with Chris, because he's a wizard, man. He's a wizard.
Yeah, he's got a science down, right? Like, he's got a system.
Yeah, he does.
And it's pretty freaking awesome, especially with all his custom miniatures too.
Yeah,
just pretty crazy.
I would like to sit down and to be like, hey, buddy, I'd like some decals on these models. Show me how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Teach me the ways.
Yeah. Well, I thought I knew. I clearly didn't.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing in this hobby. You're learning all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who won Best Chaos with his World Eaters, I was talking to him about his army too.
Paul, yeah.
And Paul had a very, very beautiful World
Trader.
Army.
Yeah.
Trader? Oh, trader armor. Yeah, I see what you're saying, that you're calling someone a traitor.
No.
And I was talking to him about, where he picked up some of the paint skills, because he had some pretty complex stuff going on with those whites. And he was talking about going to cons, like Adepticon, and sitting down for 3 or 4 days and just taking painting lessons.
Yep.
Very good. There's a lot of options out there. Definitely is.
Those painting seminars and even just getting lessons online from certain people can really up your game, man. I would highly recommend it. Like, I've been painting for a long time. Would consider myself a decent painter, but even going through some of the webinars with Kenny Boucher there and taking some of his courses, I'm learning stuff all the time. And it's just really, man, that works. And you start practicing different techniques, because it depends what era I guess you kind of came up in playing Warhammer, right? Like I was kind of in the White Dwarf era where it's like, here's a 7-step process of how we got this model, and it's like primed, base coat, this, that, and somewhere between picture 6 and 7 it fucking teleports from like tabletop to fucking heavy metal pro, and you're like, what the fuck just happened here, right? Like, well, that's all you got.
One light blaze, and then they're like, done.
But that's all you got back in the day. Now there's YouTube and this and that. Like, honestly, just fucking experiment and try. Get yourself a squad that you can strip 5, 10, 15 times and just keep practicing. Like, it's amazing how fast you can transition from never painting before to being top tier. Like, it's just insane.
It's, and me and Bill playing a lot of the games with each other for a long time. We've seen each other's painting progress and whatnot, and get to a point of where we like it, and there's always improvement and stuff. And I can admit that, like, even just Bill's Imperial Fists, that he's gone to that point. It was another milestone, another step, right, of something new that he learned to do just by videos and with Kenny there and whatnot, right?
I think he sold the Soul of Chaos, if we're being honest.
Well, he did that a long time ago, bro. Long time ago. Look at him.
True story.
He's like Horus incarnate right now.
True story.
Right? So
true story.
But no, like I remember Bill painting his vampire counts way back when, right?
Oh man.
And awesome. Very gritty, very, very a lot of washes and stuff like that. But then things started to change, different armies, airbrushing, washes, pigments, this and that, blah blah blah, chipping now. And it just you grow and grow and grow, and yourself, or as well, because you do a lot of painting as well, and some great stuff too, right? So
every army I paint, I guarantee I try one large new technique.
Yep, exactly, right.
An army-wide thing, and I think it's important to branch out and try new things.
So, like, in myself, I've done different stuff and. Same kind of thing. I've always struggled with like line highlighting and whatnot, and I tried it on my my White Scars Terminators in black armor.
Ibn Kasheg.
Yeah, that's them, Ibn Kasheg. And I just used the silver, right, and just started kind of touching some of the little hard lines and stuff, and it actually turned out quite well, and I was quite pleased with it. So,
almost like a weathering if you're using the silver.
In a sense, yeah, right. Like on the hard edges of the armor, not a lot of it, but just enough of it to amplify the black. Because painting black could be a bit of a challenge for some people and whatnot. Same thing with white. But with different stuff, there's so many tools in your toolbox for painting and stuff. Plus all the information and visual information that you could get. Like I just looked up a video for my Africa Corps army for my Germans that I just got built, and I literally went and picked up the paints, and it's like, okay, you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try exactly kind of how this guy did it on this video, because it looks great, it has some chipping. So, a new adventure, a next step, right? So, because I do know myself, I think I've lost a little bit of the brushwork just because of the the AK interactive streaking grime. So gotta go back and try to get my brushwork up to snub again, and just keep improving. And for guys who don't really enjoy painting, or just kind of do a basic thing, little baby steps, really. I know Hal has been painting his stuff and whatnot, and he'll ask a lot of questions about things. One example, build the wash with the flow improver. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Simple little trick, and it helped him out a lot. So,
doing a wash with flow improver?
No.
Yep.
It helps increase the capillary action of the wash, and it helps push it into the cracks more and away from the bigger, flat, rounded surfaces. This is also,
you don't have to relayer.
Yeah, and it's also improved if you do a gloss varnish first.
So,
That's the technical way.
but that's the great thing about the community, right? Is there's so much talent out there, so much knowledge, and people are willing to share it. Whereas, like before, like Bill said in that book, you had what happened there? Something teleported. It's like
I remember I bought some of those books, and they're like, "We'll show you how to paint skin in 6 easy steps." And steps 1 through 5 is like, okay, I can do that. And then all of a sudden, the step 6 is like, it feels like they got makeup on, and you're like,
Yeah, you're
there's
like,
not-
what the fuck happened there?
why does he look like a cartoon
It's
from
just-
the 60s or something?
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Big Games Workshop trying to get you to buy more White Dwarfs, those sons of bitches.
it's true. It's true.
I should
man.
buy these paints.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, not to completely derail this thing, but you kind of reminded me. Warhammer Plus, I have it. I really like it. If you're on the fence about it at all, buy it for the fucking painting masterclass videos.
What does the Painting Masterclass video
for that alone
doesn't have that I can't find on YouTube? Sell me on this.
that it doesn't have
What
on
can't
YouTube?
what can't I get on YouTube that I have to pay for on the Warhammer Plus?
I would say if you are a young, ambitious hobbyist who's, rocking hard onto the G-Dub way of modeling, it's nice because they will give you every breakdown of a Games Workshop product that they use. Everything that they use in those videos is a Games Workshop product. It's not, I'm using this Vallejo set with my fucking Kalinsky brush, bro, and all this. It's not a ton of stuff you're going to have to buy. If you're on the G-Dub train, most likely you have this shit already. Minus maybe some paints and whatnot. That's probably the biggest benefit, is you can follow along with what you have from GW exclusively. Where I do find some of the stuff on YouTube really good, but the guy's like, well, I'm using this MIG thing, and I've got this crazy, $60 brush. And,
Yeah.
and you're like, fuck, man.
Artist Opal.
It's just...
I got a .18 airbrush, and you're going to need 17 scale paints, 4 Citadel paints, 3 Vallejo paints, this extra special paint that you can only pre-order from my store.
Exactly. Yeah. And a
Okay,
partridge and a pear tree. So it's essentially, it gives you a one-stop shop, a snapshot in time with easy ways to do it with just strictly Games Workshop product. The painters are pretty top-notch. They have a lot of cool breakdowns. And the nice thing about it is being able to kind of view them all at one time. They're all on My Warhammer app. Check everything out. But yeah, I watch those videos a lot, right? Like, I just add it to the arsenal. It's just another tool in the hobby belt.
Didn't they do the face video?
Yeah, that was like one of the first ones. It was painting flesh. Painting light, mid, and dark tone flesh. And the way to do actually a color gradient where they're actually pre-shading their faces with blue, yellow, and reds. So you actually can get a different kind of warm, cold, and mid-tones on these different facial pieces. And, they have great ideas take a chunk of sprue that has 4 or 5 heads and just practice painting heads. Everyone has leftover heads from their models, right? Just practice painting heads. They're on a sprue. It's perfect. You just prime it and just paint it and experiment and move on to the next one. And they just have little tips and tricks like that I found to be very, very useful. I've tried experimenting with some of them. They turn out really well. So that's my shameless
What's funny
GW
about
plug.
that is when I went to go paint the Sisters of Battle, because their heads are smaller than Space Marines, right? They're not very big. For every head I needed on a model, I'd paint 3 or 4 heads. Yep. And out of those 4, maybe 2 would come out good, and I'd be able to choose which one I liked the most. So there's definitely something valuable painting extra heads, painting extra faces.
Yep. It's
one eyeball fucks it all up.
Well, that's true.
Right?
It's true. And it's weird when you start watching some of these videos, they paint the eyes. Some of them paint the eyes first.
Maybe it's easier. I don't know.
So they say.
I still don't want to paint with a single human hair, so.
Yeah, so they say. So I use this little X10 brush, right? And it's very tiny. It's good
Are you painting
good for
just
eyeballs.
liquid water like the rest of these guys are with one pigment of paint in it?
It's
Single human hair?
it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It's a good little brush though.
Again, a lot of little tools, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just loading up the arsenal. Continuing on with kind of the doubles, Tyler ended up winning Best Loyalist with his Imperial Fists. I think it was pretty much down to him and James for that. There wasn't a ton of Loyalist guys that were fully painted. And then our best tacticians was Andy and Mackenzie for the game. Overall scored the most VPs and had consecutive wins, which was pretty sweet. And it's just a nice thing to see, right? It's a nice thing to see different people coming out and playing and kind of doing well in the doubles itself, and just amping up a lot of the community. A lot of guys, I think, now that they're starting to get comfortable with each other, it creates a lot of future rivalries. You get those vendetta grudge matches going on, which is nice. I've been talking about, and I launched even a save the date for in the new year, April 15th, 16th is going to be a Horus Heresy standalone event. Should be really big, 32 players. I expect that to sell out pretty much almost ASAP, just for when everything drops. Lots of interest from our fellow Heresy players from BC, Boys of the Golden Throne, and the rest of the crew. There's some guys from the States that want to come check it out, and then obviously from here, Calgary. So it should be a pretty sweet event to be able to kick off, which would be nice. It should be a nice kickstart to the summer. So, yeah.
What other future events? So there's LVO right around the corner. You have your Heresy. When's Trident Wargaming Fest 2023?
It'll be something. It'll be something good. I want to do Iron Within again in the fall. I think that was a pretty legit time. Make it a 2-day again. And then 2024 I think might be the big one. I think that might be a full-blown like multi-system 2 or maybe 3-day event that we do.
Like
grand scale.
Camp.
Yeah, grand scale.
You get the Titanicus. By then we could do Battlefleet Gothic. You got the 40k. We got the 30k. You get the Army Men one. Bolt action.
Bolt action. Yeah.
The Army Men.
Like bolt action, Flames of War. You can do Battle Tech. You can do Blood Bowl.
There's a lot of solid
ton.
groups out there, right? A lot of solid groups that actually have a fair bit of players. And if you
run some NTG events on the side for people who lose round 1, they can drop out.
That's right. Yeah, if you get eliminated first round, you can go play some Magic. It'll be great.
I was actually thinking. I played in a 40k GT, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and I was doing really well day 1 until I ended up losing against the guy who would eventually win the tournament. And after you lose one game in a 32-man event, like, you can't win, right? So in the Magic scene, if you lose a game or if you can't top 8, it's actually not socially unacceptable to drop. And if you're playing at like the big cons and the big events, you can just go run side events. So if it's a 2-day tournament and you lose game 3, you just drop and then you can go enter another side tournament. I was kind of beating around with the idea if you had a 2-day Warhammer event, so 40k, 30k, or whatever, but after day 1. For anyone who's not running anymore, would it be socially unacceptable to okay, let's do a 1-day RTT alongside that other 2-day event? So for the people who are really pushing for that top spot, they can keep doing that. And for the people who want to drop out and have the chance to do another top spot, you can have a little 8-man RTT.
That'd be
I don't know if
cool.
it's practical or not, or if that's janky, or what. What's the thought?
I don't know. That kind of sounds cool. You could almost the first and Tanith spin on it. You can have it like Last Chancers RTT, something like that, where you get a chance to still try and bring home
Schaefer's Last Chancer.
Yeah, bring home a trophy. That could be kind of cool, right? Like make it something where you get a second chance, essentially. So,
well, it just felt really bad at the end of day 1 to be like, oh fuck, like I don't even want to come back tomorrow. I can't win. They'd already given out painting. Generalmanship was I was out, so it's like,
It's like,
what now?
Fuck, what am I gonna do? Yeah.
I mean, still play some games, have some fun. Actually, some of the most fun games you'll ever have at a tournament is when you're not trying to win. If you and your buddy both know that like neither of you can win the top spot, it really takes a lot of the pressure off, and instead you can focus on having a good time instead of being like, this motherfucker's gonna gotcha me, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Or knowing that you're gonna lose that game, so now you're trying to mitigate his points. So you're trying to claw that fucker down. That's gone through my head too.
Don't they kind of do something similar to that in LVO with 40k?
They have
Yes.
like
Go
a
to, like,
40k,
They have side
40k
events.
friendlies. Yeah.
Yeah, 40. They go to like that open friendly. Yeah.
Oh, and they have full scale RTTs now on the Sunday, right? If you don't make,
Oh, okay.
you can go
better.
drop out. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm kind of out of the 40k scenes. No, I just know that when we were playing Heresy, there was a lot of 40k players the following day kind of playing where we were, right? So
Yeah, they're all kind of all over the place, but that's next level. Like at LVO, the scale is insane. I think it's this year it's going to be, or next year, it's going to be 1,200 players in total, which is just 40k alone, which is fucking just wild.
crazy.
Well, they have that new. They did something controversial, right? Where they were going to have a seeding tournament. So again, following the Magic the Gathering model, and this might happen in Heresy too. So it's worth talking about on a Heresy podcast. Is that Magic will have like qualifier events, and if you qualify for certain many events, you get on the Pro Tour, and then you can miss day one of the event. And out of an 8-game tournament, maybe you're only showing up for your first game on game 4.
See, and I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of upsets me a little bit. Like, essentially, it's kind of a cheat. Like, no matter how good you are, is it fair for you to be able to come in mentally and physically fresh on day 2, where all these other motherfuckers are haggard and just beat the shit and mentally drained from, like, gaming and focusing so hard on the table day 1? Like, I don't know about that. That I feel indifferent.
And the other side of that is that if you if we're talking about building a meta army for the complexion, like if you take what's considered to be a meta army and you're going against everything, but round 1 you get up against some sort of like weird skew list that you never accounted for, like there's the chance of that. But if we start making so some people never have to have that opportunity,
yeah,
it's kind of a problem. I don't know.
Well,
it rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like that.
Well, no, I definitely agree with you there. I'm not really a fan of that either, because you know what? If you do happen to run into that weird, obscure, just anti-fucking jank list on round 1, well, that's just how it goes. Sometimes making an all-comers list is like legit trying to make an all-comers list, and I think sometimes the top-tier guys only really focus on those 2 or 3 armies that are going to make it at that level. I don't know. That's how it kind of seems to me. I'm not in my pro prime at 40k either, but you do see kind of like the strategy of it, right? And certain teams are playing certain armies.
If you're building a 30k list because you're expecting for everyone to have 2 Spartans and a 10-man lance cannon scene, but all of a sudden the list you play up against has no dreads, no armor at all, and it's just 1 million Marines.
Yeah.
I mean, how many Marines can you kill?
Well, that's
can you
just
kill
it,
all
right?
of them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's just it. You very well may run into that, right? And said, okay, so not Marines, but Custodes. What if you run into just a 50-man infantry horde of Custodes? Well, you're probably fucked. Right? Like,
but I bet you there's someone who's like, I might not win this, but I'm gonna go kill that 50-man Custodes army.
Yeah.
And I think if we start letting people skip the line, we take away some of that chance.
yeah, no, I do kind of appreciate that mentality. Like, I think everyone should have to go crawl through it and make your way, especially in tabletop, right? Like,
I'd rather have everybody
it's a
play
big
their
thing.
game.
Yeah.
Period. Right.
But also, I can't afford to go to another qualifying event. Right? There's only so much money, so much time.
That's true.
I'm not Richard Siegler. I'm not professional on Art of War. I'm not.
Do you think that the qualifiers being a separate event in a different location, do you feel that it's not accessible for everybody.
It's not.
As in, like, well, let's be real. Any event, anyone can argue, like, every event could be inaccessible for somebody, but I don't know. Just adding an extra
Just the way it works.
layer,
I mean,
like, to it, it's just, yeah. It's an interesting thing. I am hoping for big things for Heresy, especially to come from LVO, Adepticon, stuff like that. I really hope it's going to dawn the age of match play. I know we've talked about that a lot on the podcast, so won't delve too heavy into that. But I have high hopes for the system. I really do. I think it's in a prosperous spot. There's lots of potential. So
I think you'll see it. They just hired a match play designer, which means unless they're hiring more than one for 40K, like, they're onto something. So, and you know what? They've done it for some of their other games, like Shadespire and stuff. Had quite a following for a bit, and they did some stuff. So, I would not be surprised if they did match play for Heresy. It's going to be their one of their big 3 systems here.
Yeah,
it's money on the table.
Yeah,
you sell your stupid little $50 book every 6 months. Come on,
it's legit. Yeah. I'll gladly pay if it improves gameplay and makes it more fun for everybody.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I was reflecting with someone else about how the match play system for 40K has created a really good game, and I think that 30K could absolutely improve with a match play system. So maybe any other predictions for what's coming up? LVOS? Big announcements?
No, that's probably about it for me. I think anything else that's really big is probably going to happen either at Adepticon or later. Anything from that, so...
You think...
release of the Emperor model to go with the book?
Oof, that'd be crazy.
Has Angron came out yet? The model for 40K?
They leaked his data slate and stuff. His model's not
January.
out yet.
For sure, January, right?
Yeah.
When they're going to finish off the Guard release, and then they'll do World Eaters, and then probably, I think, Space Marine 2.0.
Yeah, which even Space Marine 2.0 sounded kind of different. From what I heard, is no new codex update, but they're going to redo all the supplements. So, could be interesting.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Could be interesting.
I am curious. Once Heresy gets match play, though, and they finish off giving out, the individual army codexes, how they'll continue to update the game. Will they start releasing like a trader book? This is the Iron Warriors specific Liber Supplementus.
Yeah. Well, see, this is
Funny, because
something...
Bill was talking about that earlier.
Yeah, before the show we were talking, and I was like, you know what this kind of feels like to me? These Liber Astartes, Liber Hereticus, Imperium, all that, these kind of feel like the old 8th edition kind of intro books.
Indexes?
The index.
That's right.
It kind of feels like the index, and I could totally see them going, hey, here is your Codex World Eaters, or whatever you want to call it, like book for each individual legion.
What is there, 16 or 18 legions?
18 legions, so you could have a year and a half, so you could extend it to 2 years for sprinkling little other releases in the middle. And honestly, I don't know, man, you could be doing a drop of codex every month and a half. It could be sick.
You could pair it off, one world or one trader, one loyalist every month, right?
Yeah, you could.
And then you'll also sprinkle in your little admechs and your knights and stuff.
That'd be kind of one way I think you could do it if you did pair off a trader and a loyalist that actually fought. So you could be like Alpha Legion and Imperial Fist, and here's Warzone Pluto, and here's the codexes to match it. And you've got, Iron Hands and Emperor's Children. Oh, look, here's a fucking Istvan. Like, I think you could
come with a special edition Headless Horseman.
Yeah, wow, of course. It's just there's so much potential, and I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them, honestly.
I also wouldn't. Besides match play, those I wouldn't be surprised if they really started to ramp up on doing kind of like the Crusade books as well.
Yeah,
like they do for 40K, but do a version for 30K.
I like that. I think that would
Having
be
because
the perfect addition for the heresy system.
that's the thing, right? Is you have a lot of players all over the world who are very in depth with the narrative / fluff of heresy.
Yeah.
Best-selling book series.
That
for
would be the
Warhammer.
perfect thing for that, right? Okay, let's
It
do match play so that we keep these guys happy, and let's do the whatever you want to call it, crusade or whatever, right? And it keeps these other players happy, and now you got a good jive of both aspects of the game happening at the same time, so that the players of each stature actually can just go with it and enjoy it and not worry about the other, right?
Well, let's be real. Most guys will probably play both anyways.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, we'd play Crusade.
Yeah. I'll crusade the shit out of that, man. Like
that'd be a perfect league kind of league community, project event / whatever you want to call it, right? Have it go on for 6 months, at a time, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great.
It's nice because you'd be able to do that periodically, just how like 40K does with all the books that come out, Warzone, whatever, right? So
another one here right away.
So it's
they will.
in my head, that's kind of like, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, maybe you should be thinking about doing that, going now, right?
It's actually surprisingly been radio silence on this new Warzone update, whatever it's going to be. Normally, a little bit, people start releasing trailers, playtesters start getting stuff up, but I haven't heard a single rumor about any Warzone update. And those are big updates, so I'm curious what's going on.
Warzone restart?
Warzone restart?
10th edition?
It's hard to say.
But nice. Well, next year will be I'll hopefully be diving into a little bit of 40K myself, so it'd be nice to get back into that rotation as well.
For sure. But fear not, Heresy listeners. We'll definitely be keeping the Heresy content strong. I know we've we've been riding the line between Heresy and 40K tonight, but it's just we're all involved in so many different systems, and there's similarities and ways that you see improvements in other systems that you want to always take little bits and try and hope and pray that everything's going to happen. So,
well, let's finish strong talking about Heresy. That Black Library preview just came out.
Oh yeah,
and we're talking the end and the death, the Dan Abnett conclusion.
Yeah.
To this series. Now, obviously, he was there the day Horus slew the Emperor, right? That's how it started. That's how it's going to end. Is there any big surprises you think you're going to see in this book, or is it just business as normal?
I have predictions. I know End of the Death is going to come out like Volume 1 is supposed to be in February. Then Volume 2 will probably be closer to the end of the year. I'm worried that it's... So, like, old canon was Horus knew he was running out of time. Ultramarines fleet was coming upon his ass, and he had a limited amount of time to deal the death blow to Terra. And he lowers his shields to goad the Emperor into, like, a big fight, which the Emperor accepts. He, teleports up there. My fear is they're going to spin it into Ollie Pearson, that motherfucker, somehow is going to be on the Vengeful Spirit with John, Grammaticus, and the rest of these fuckers, just teleporting through the warp, cutting with their little wraith bone scissors. They're going to pop up on the ship, and they're going to deactivate the shields. And I hope the fuck that's not what happens, because I think that would be so anticlimactic and just it's too expected. Like, I can see it from a mile away, and I hope that's not what happens. Spoilers, Emperor and Horus probably both get mortally wounded, and Horus dies.
I saw some memes that was talking about how it's all been a big cover-up, and that it was Sanguinius that succumbs to the Black Rage in order to save the Emperor. He kills Horus, and then the Emperor, out of pity, has to put Sanguinius down.
That there has been a couple things about that, because the only way Sanguinius could actually beat Horus is if he fully gave himself to the Black Rage and Khorne. And we talked about this before on a different one with the Echoes of Eternity, about when he's fighting Angron, that Khorne can feel kind of his power or his favor going away, and Angron and like Sanguinius, you can hear like Khorne laughing because he doesn't care where the blood's coming from. It's just there's blood, there's epic fighting, and I was always wondering, like, do you think Sanguinius gave himself over just a little bit to like hate and everything to put the death blows on Angron? And how crazy would that be if it actually worked out for this last book where he does succumb and the Emperor does have to kill him? As a twist of canon.
I think they could never do it because there's too many neckbeards that would get too upset about it.
I think you'd have a meltdown or a rage.
There's a lot of shit that they're changing already.
Fans would submit to the Black Rage if that probably happened. Yeah. Right?
There's so much shit that's been changing already. I don't know. It's just, it'll be interesting.
I don't know. There is some sacred canon when it comes to Warhammer, and that canon is on the vengeful spirit. The Emperor stands, while Sanguinius is on the ground, right?
No.
Like they'll never change that. Jokes aside.
I just wonder how he's gonna die. Is it gonna be like an epic 4-chapter fucking half the book of like him fighting, or it'll be like at the very end, like book 1 he's alive, book 2 he gets caught by Horus's claw and just like bitch slap dead, and then the Emperor's there. Like I because like how could the Sanguinius Horus fight be more epic than the Emperor Horus fight? It can't. Can it? Can it? I don't know.
No. It's going to be epic regardless.
I want to know.
Right.
Let us know in the comments. Can Sanguinius and Horus be more epic than Emperor versus Horus?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one. There's a lot of favorites there.
Well, that's just it, right? And Horus is infused with all the power of chaos, so, you know. And let's be real, in Echoes of Eternity at this point, Sanguinius he's fucking tired. So, like, he's not even at that level, right? Like, is it going to just be dead? Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting, right? Like, it'll be pretty crazy. I'm sure there's a couple heresy people out there that are just like, holy fuck, listen to this guy, right? Like, just you know, let's just take a second and think about it.
Well, when we look at how they ended great works of science fiction and fantasy in the last 10 years, a lot of it's been really disappointing.
I hope not.
Well, and like even something as sacred as Star Wars, and even though, you know, Disney bought it, like things did not go the way people expected.
No, that's true.
So is that Games Workshop canon sacred enough or not? Dan Abnett would not come back and write garbage, though.
No, he wouldn't. No, he's a talented dude. So I'm curious to see how it'll actually go. It is bittersweet though, isn't it?
A little bit.
At the end of all these series, like I've been cranking through the audiobooks. I'm on Buried Dagger, and I'm up to date with all the Siege of Terra ones, but it's been 2 years of cranking out audiobooks to get to this point. And it's like, holy fuck, really? Like next year, that could be it. I'll have to listen to the whole Siege again, just because it's super good. And then it's like, what do I listen to after?
Or Texan Felix. Wherever fast.
I'd probably start Dark Imperium, because, I don't know, like, late Heresy is early 40k, and you won't change my mind on that, that's for sure. So I'd like to teleport over to Dark Imperium maybe and start listening to that.
Once you start listening to that, just get to the point where you find out what happened to Commissar Eric.
He's hanging on Angron's belt.
Is he really?
Well,
oh, no.
That's what they say.
Spoiler alert.
There's been some pictures, right? And they're like, oh my god, he's been in plain sight the whole time. And it is a skull, a human-sized skull with the servo kind of like eye that's on the same side that Yarick has. And people are speculating that, old Bale Eye is hanging off Angron's belt. And they've been joking around where Thraka finds out that Angron killed him. And now Thraka's pissed off and he wants to find Angron to kick the shit out of him because he killed his fighting buddy. Which would make an epic story in itself. So I kind of hope it's a little bit true.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. So,
lots of good stories to come.
Yeah.
When the internet goes into a rage, we'll finally know.
We'll know what happened.
Yeah.
Any predictions from you guys? What's going to happen in the end of the death? Death in the end?
Business as normal. They're going to keep it exactly as it's meant to be. They'll write some epic scenes, but it'll be what you expected. There will not be any twists.
No twists.
No twists.
And just very long fight scenes.
Long, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and probably a lot of detail of just how they were feeling throughout the fight and those moments and critical moments and stuff like that. So I'm sure they'll write it pretty good. And yeah. Hope they don't change it, but just don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know until we get there.
It's true. It's true. Very true. Well, I guess that's a good spot to leave off. Let us all find out together next year. It'll be interesting. And again, yeah, if you've been keeping up, let us know in the comments what you think. I'm eager to interact with everybody online and talk. The interaction's been lots. It's been growing a lot lately, so that's pretty sweet to see. A lot of chatter on all the posts, so much appreciated, everybody. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, guys. As always appreciate the opportunity to talk Warhammer of any kind.
Welcome. Catch everybody next time.